That's not good footage. Welcome back to another episode of Automotive Insight. Today's repair is a 2018 Chrysler Pacifica. Customer states that the right front window isn't working. When we hit the button, we can hear a little clicking sound coming from the door, but the window is not moving. We're going to do this without using the scan tool, just because of auto-auth. A lot of people don't have it in the aftermarket community, so we're just going to diagnose this old school without the scan tool. So let's check it out. Alright, we're going to use an amp clamp to see if we can't get some kind of reading on the window. Even though it's not moving, we're just trying to do our due diligence and see if the circuit, if there's some kind of amperage flow. Alright, we are around the negative cable. We're going to zero it out because the key is on. All right, we're going to get a known good reading first. Okay, go ahead. Okay. I do it again.
Down. Up.
Okay. All right, so our test results for going down was about 4 amps, and then going up was about 7 to 8. And so now we're going to test the other side and see what that shows. Do it again. Huh. All right. Yeah, go ahead. So that's jumping up to about 16, 17 amps. That's a lot different. That shows that it's got a complete circuit over there. All right, so with our amperage reading, we're getting some current flow. We can hear some stuff happening in the door. So it's kind of safe to say that the circuit is intact, and we're going to remove the door panel to also further verify and also part of the repair. There are two 10mm bolts behind the door handle and in the door cup. Just a flathead screwdriver. There is a little access point up top. You can use a pick or the flathead screwdriver, maybe. Let's see. Maybe the bottom corner worked better. Again, these are 10mm. Okay, we're going to pop up our window switch. We're going to come from the back side here. I know this isn't a plastic trim tool, but it's actually pretty reasonable. It's got 2 metal clips on each side. We'll disconnect it. All right, so the door panel is held on by 10 clips or so. We're going to just kind of grab from the bottom and see if we can't pry it loose from that. We're going to pry straight off from the top. Okay, we got another clip and 2 door cables.
Explain that those are barbed.
So these are barbed and into the door handle right there. What I do is you can push it to one side and push it in, and I pull it out just a little bit, and then I rotate it so I can get access to the other side. I just did this all by hand. Obviously, you can use some tools, picks. We'll do the same. We'll do the same thing for the other door cable. Disconnect our connector, our nectars. All right, we got our door panel off. We reconnected the passenger window switch, and we can hear the motor itself clicking, and you can also feel it. So, but now, do you know, is there enough power here to make this run? So now we're going to run some tests and make sure we have the correct amount of power to the motor before we condemn the motor itself. Well, we need to verify that because the regulator itself could also be jammed, or the window itself could be stuck. So you can also just take the motor off and run it and see if it runs itself, but that's not under the normal amperage that the window operates in. So we're going to load test it and see how it works. All right, before we take off the motor, this is a 5-wire connector. The top 3 are the small wires. I think there's 2 Hall effects and 1 power, and then the 2 bigger ones are your power for the motor itself,
And ground.
for the power and ground for the motor itself. So I found it hard to back probe it, so we're just going to disconnect it and go straight to the terminal. Okay.
This is roughly a 4 amp.
Yeah, this is only about 4 amps, and that's nice and bright. That's good. This motor could pull anywhere between 10 to 20 amps. So, but I think if we were having an electrical issue, it would probably be sluggish and moving somewhat, but it's not moving at all. So next we're going to take the motor off and see if it moves off the car, off the regulator. There's 3 T27 Torx bolts. No, it's not. It's not. No. No. That's not good footage. As you can see, at first the motor wasn't moving, and then without being under any load, it's almost like tapping on a starter or tapping on an electric motor. It got moving again. So, but we want to verify that the window regulator isn't binding up. On this one, you can easily just grab the window and move it up and down. So I don't feel any abnormal resistance. So at this case, I'd put a motor in it. Got a new motor. You do need to kind of line it up a little bit. It doesn't have to be perfect because you recalibrate this later to find the full up and down or the auto up and down position. And you can also verify that the new motor is working after plugging it in. All right. We'll go ahead and disconnect our switch and start putting our panel back on. All right, we're going to reroute the door cable. This seems really long, so it's going to kind of come into a loop. There is a spot in the regulator that the cable can sit in. And we'll go ahead and reattach it to the door handle. All right, before we put our door cable into the holder, we'll go ahead and put the cable end in its place. Then we'll do the door lock cable. We'll do the same thing. All right, we have an extra connector here for maybe a light or something, or some kind of antenna, maybe. And we've also verified all our clips are in place and not broken. And we'll make sure that we have access to our switch cable. And this design doesn't hook on the top, it's just pushed straight on. We'll fish our window connector out. It might be easier to fish that out before pressing that on. We'll put our switch in. We'll put our two 10mm bolts back in. Put our plastic covers. Wrong one. That's better. Okay. All right, now we're going to see if we can initialize it for the auto up and down. I'm going to hold the window switch down for about 10 seconds, and then we're going to go straight up and hold it for 10 seconds. I'm just guessing. I haven't looked it up. You can hear an extra click in there. That is the module cutting it off for over amperage. So it might have to only hold it for a few seconds all the way up or down, but it calibrated and is working normal. All right, well, that's going to wrap this up. Repair-wise, this was a fairly easy door panel to get off. 2 bolts and then the clips. We were able to do this with basic electrical diag. I know we got a little bit more into it with the amp clamp, but that's just maybe a little simpler method to show of a complete circuit. But anyway, labor breakdown. This calls for 1 hour. Customer provided the part, but we did look it up. An OE part cost around $255. But anyway, that wraps this up. I may not have all your answers. Hopefully I had some. That being said, see you on the next one.
I'll pick you up at 8. You probably won't be awake. Call yourself an Uber, babe. I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait.
I will provide the torque specs for this later. Not that I want to, but I think... Not that I want to, but people... I need to know!
What are those wood screws that